Well, the president of Oracle, Mark Hurd, may wish now that he could look into the future, as a recent ruling coming from the Delaware State Supreme Court will likely have him facing the potentially tawdry details of his past actions. Hurd quit as the CEO of HP in 2010 after the company said he violated its standards of business conduct. Actress Jodie Fisher, who he had hired as an HP contractor, had accused him of sexual harassment. In a letter drafted by attorney Gloria Allred, Hurd is accused of whining and dining Fisher, using corporate funds and divulging non-public information about HP to her. That much we know from court records, but until now the whole letter has been sealed. Delaware's highest court this week ordered that it be made public. The document could be available in the next 10 days, but Hurd's attorneys currently are asking for a delay. And for more on this developing story, Cory Johnson, our Bloomberg editor-at-large, West editor-at-large, is here to talk about it. And I guess for those people who have followed this story along, the big question is, what does the release of this letter ultimately mean?
Well, I think it's a question is what's in the letter. Think about it from one perspective, might be Mark Hurd's perspective, which is here you have the lawyer, and like all lawyers, an aggressive lawyer representing a woman who's threatening to sue over sexual harassment, airing all of her allegations in her own way, painted in her own way in that letter. That's what this letter is going to show, likely, and that's going to be made part of the public record sometime in the next couple of days.
So this is her side of the story. We know that these two settled their differences a while ago, shortly after he left the company. But this very much feels like an HP story, but bigger, a Mark Hurd story, given that he's riding high at Oracle right now.
Yeah, I think it shows that what Larry Ellison very specifically and Oracle cares about is the performance. They like the performance that Mark Hurd delivered. They like the knowledge that the guy has about the computer industry and about the way that, if you think about the business that Hewlett-Packard's in, the Navy story is a perfect example of that. Yeah. So the Navy contract was an EDS contract. He acquired EDS. He was accused of sharing the plans to merge with EDS or acquire EDS with Jodie Fisher. And then you see this contract is the kind of thing that the kind of big deal that Mark Hurd really gets, and that's why Oracle wanted him and didn't care about the allegations.
And yet, since we still don't know what's in that letter, it's hard not to think of what has gone on at HP. We just showed the stock price in the slide there. First Mark Hurd, then Leo Apotheker, and now Meg Whitman, the CEO there. You almost wonder if the board thought about the contents of this letter in picking Meg Whitman, the person who is a great communicator, even if there's another scandal that hits the market.
Let's not say first Mark Hurd. Let's say first Carly Fiorina.
Sure.
And then let's talk about Patty Dunn, who just passed away, who was involved in tapping the phones of, or pretexting the phones of reporters who were covering the company and board members. This is a company that did not have room for a scandal. So when the Mark Hurd happened, they reacted in their way. This Jodie Fisher accusations probably rang very loudly in the boardroom at Hewlett-Packard, more than maybe any other large company in technology, certainly.
We have seen changes to the board of directors since HP. Since Mark Hurd was shown the door. But at the end of the day, the letter is being released because of shareholders who were angry about how the board treated the Mark Hurd situation.
So very specifically, one shareholder says, I think that whatever's in this letter is going to tell me if there was a corporate scandal. You took my funds as a shareholder and spent them to make the CEO go away. You paid him tens of millions of dollars. I want to know what he was accused of. And since you used my money as a shareholder, as an owner of this company, Carly Fiorina used to always call shareholders share owners. Right. Well, if the share owner of this company can't see what his dollars were spent with, he feels like that's his right. That's why he took the suit. And it's also really important here. The share owner, the shareholder, was told he could see it if he wouldn't share it with anyone. He refused. That's why he went to court.
If this turns out to be a very juicy letter, you have to wonder not necessarily, or not only what the shareholders will think, but what will HP customers think? I mean, Meg Whitman's job number one right now is to keep the customers calm, keep them on the HP team, make sure that HP makes its numbers quarter after quarter after quarter, so the shareholders aren't frustrated anymore. But when there are juicy headlines, everybody pays attention.
Well, this is, first and foremost, is about sex or the hint of sex, right? That's why this got so much attention. That's why this became such a lightning rod here. I mean, Jodie Fisher, she wasn't just someone who worked at the company. She's a former television actress. She posed for Playboy. She's someone who's, gathers a lot of attention, ironically, at customer meetings. But I can't imagine customers really care about this. They're going to buy the products based on their merits and based on the ability of HP's people to convince them to buy them. But this might mean a lot more about corporate responsibility, the use of, I mean, what do we start talking about in the show today? We start talking about Groupon, we start talking about what the shareholders are doing, what the management's doing with shareholder money, how they're selling things, how they're couching things for the business. I think to a large degree this is about corporate responsibility and what investors can demand of the companies they own.
How does this situation with Mark Hurd, you've covered so many personalities in Silicon Valley over the last decade, how does the Mark Hurd story compare to some of the others that you've tracked?
It's a fairly amazing one. I mean, the twists and turns of Hewlett-Packard over the course of the last decade have been kind of amazing. Well, we did the first interview with Mark Hurd on TV since the scandal.
Yes.
And we didn't really talk about the scandal because they were seeing it into the news. And I don't think he's done a TV interview since then. And you know, you can see why the guy's widely respected for his business skills. His personal skills, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure this letter is going to tell us something about the accusations that Gloria Aldrin had about his conduct. He also doesn't have a chance to respond now when this letter becomes made public, you know, which could be soon.
Sure, and speaking of responses, when HP got rid of Mark Hurd, Larry Ellison was the first to say, you guys are crazy, and then ultimately hired him as president.
He called it the stupidest corporate decision in Silicon Valley since the firing of Steve Jobs.
So does this mean, depending on what this letter looks like, that we're going to hear from Ellison again, do you think?
I hope so. I hope he does it tomorrow. We could use a big story tomorrow. You know, you never know what Larry's going to do, and you never know how Larry's going to do it. But when he does it, it's big and bombastic, and with a plan. You know, for all of his bombast, he goes after things that can help Oracle make more money. He goes after things that are going to put Oracle in a more favorable light than its competitors. It was clear, it became clear that the comments about Mark Hurd, which led to the hiring of Mark Hurd by Oracle, were really about an escalating war over the business of Hewlett-Packard versus the former products from Sun, now owned by Oracle. So will there be more to and fro? I can only hope.
For this big battle. Absolutely. Cory, thanks a lot. Cory Johnson, our Bloomberg West editor-at-large.